Garry and Debbie are each going to share a little bit about their experience. So I'm first going to introduce Garry Page. He has a lifetime of experience farming, biologically working with nature's principles to develop farming systems that are resilient and rebuild ecosystems and biodiversity, but he can tell you more about that. So over to Garry. Please welcome him.
Thanks, Eli. When Michael Jeffries visited me on my farm and spent a day with me when he talked about setting up soils for life, and he walked me out into the middle of the paddock and grilled me. You know, if I'm going into the public arena with this, I want to know that it definitely works. And I told him the truth, that if you get it right, it works fantastically. If you get it wrong, there's a bit of a bumpy road. I was born into a family farm at Pingelly. The farm was split up and I was thrown into the deep end with my father. And we were predominantly a grazing operation. Now, my background at school, I didn't study science. I did maths, English, but I did study economics and accounting. So the lens that I looked at cropping through was financially based. So we did a heap of trials over 3 years of all the fertiliser systems and everything that was available to us. And we knew after year one that there was two systems that stood out. One was a traditional system that opened up WA, which is super copper, moly and zinc. And the other one was a biological system where we spread dolomite and lime and we used fish and kelp and biology. And when we did the numbers on it, and against our controls, the profit margin in the biological system was massive compared to the super copper and moly zinc. So we went down that road. I soon found out that I had an intolerance to chemicals. My father was spraying malathion when I was inside a silo and I passed out. There was all panic stations to get me out of there. We were noticing that our environment was collapsing and we were facing issues that we never faced before. Our dams were going dry, they were getting algae, the salt encroachment. We embarked on planting trees and what we're seeing happening in the environment was a big catalyst for change. And a lot of people don't get to the realisation without that catalyst to change of doing something different. This is what the landscape looked like before we decided to change and start viewing things a different way. People that I was privileged to work with was Peter Andrews. He came onto our farm and told us where we were getting it wrong and worked out how to get more bang for our buck out of doing it. So we did a lot of work like that. Our focus shifted from trying to fix the soil or balance the soil to helping support the plant. And when we did that, it started to open up so many more doors that we could figure out what was going on.
So Debbie Dowden is the co-owner and manager of Challa Station, which she runs with her husband Ashley. 206,000 hectare property in the Southern Rangelands, a bit further afield, about 600 kilometres northeast of here. And at Challa, Debbie stewards Santa Gertrudis cattle in harmony with a human-induced regeneration carbon project, producing what she proudly describes as some of the world's most environmentally sustainable beef. Please welcome Debbie.
Rangelands are incredibly difficult places to live. You can't grow any crops in the rangelands because there's not enough rainfall. So rangelands are populated by people who run livestock in the natural environment. And we have 220 mils of rain, but no rainfall pattern. So it might rain in summer, it might rain in winter. September's our driest month, but we just got 50 mils, you know. So the fact that we can't predict our rainfall and it's so low sometimes, and other years we wait for a cyclone to come through and we'll get 500 mils of rain in a year, makes it a very challenging environment to work within. There's low profit margins and you have to run it extremely carefully and be very careful with your finances as well as the way you operate the place. Our property has a stocking rate of 3,500. That's the recommended carrying capacity for Challa Station. When we initiated our carbon project back in 2019, we decided to run just 1,000 head of cattle, well, the breeders plus their followers. So we've really cut down to about a third of our recommended carrying capacity on Challa, and we've seen enormous benefits come from that conservative stocking rate. So what Ashley and I are doing now on Challa is a continuation of what his family's been doing since that terrible drought in the late 30s, early 40s, which was when Granny first moved to Challa and described it as a desert. Since then, Ashley can tell you stories of when he was a little boy going on the moldboard plough with his grandfather doing landscape restoration. Hugh Pringle was the one who came into the southern rangelands and changed the way we looked at the landscape forever. He changed a whole community, not just Challa Station. He taught us that the water flow is integral to the way the environment improves. Water flow is key. And the more you look at it, the more you realise if you're only getting 220 mils of rain every year, every single drop of water has to count. And you can do a lot of damage or a lot of good depending on where that water flows. This is one of the early types of mechanical intervention we did about 20 years ago. It's called a camel pitter, and we've seen really remarkable regeneration using the camel pitter. Ashley's obviously during his journey of learning has evolved his techniques, and he's out here driving the grader making these magnificent Challa scallops which catch the water when it rains and regenerate the landscape, and it just enable those little plants to get a foothold in the landscape. And the good thing about having Ashley as my grader driver is that he never ever makes mistakes. He only produces learning opportunities. Here's another example of a little area that we regenerated. I used to ride the horses there, but now I can't because there's too many bushes there. We put some cleanings from the cattle yards down there, showing that the rangelands do actually respond beautifully to fertiliser and a little bit of soil disturbance. We've been measuring the biodiversity of Challa Station as a direct result of our human-induced regeneration carbon project. We've now documented over 1,300 species of plants and animals on the station. We haven't even started with the insects or the soil microbes. And of course, the birds are one of the most glorious and visible indicators of biodiversity on a property. In a good year, it looks as though we're living in an aviary. There's so many birds on Challa, and we've got 121 different species recorded so far. The rangelands are actually global biodiversity hotspots. They're a huge carbon sink. I want this room of regenerative farmers to understand that you're not the weirdos. You're probably just meant to be pastoralists. Thank you.